sweetie. Did you finish your drink already? Careful. It might break. Now it'll only be a minute. Mommy just has to make sure that the cake is perfect. Let's see. There and there. Perfect. Oh, look at you. You're so adorable in your tiny footed pajamas. Happy birthday, sweetie. Wow, 2 years today. Oops. I think I know a little someone who's ready for some cake. Chugga 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 choo choo. Here it comes. Through the tunnel. Choo choo. I'll be right back. What are you doing?
The playpen was actually quite a different thing because we wanted people to make sure that they were careful with the baby. So we placed the pillow underneath so when he fell down, you wouldn't feel like you were harming the kids.
And also the whole playpen's role is to introduce the player to all the mechanics of crawling and climbing, and moving objects. So we wanted to do something like this where the player is the goal is the present, and the player will hopefully want to get the present, and you can see it. That's why it's framed like it is when you get put down in the playpen, and then you have to just learn how to do the mechanics. An important aspect of Among the Sleep was to really make the players feel like they actually were the child character, especially in the characters' animations and movement, so that it was believable, and to make the child character feel very frail and fragile, so that in scary and tense situations it will become even a lot more terrifying just knowing that you are such a vulnerable character. This posed for some interesting design challenges.
Well, it's kind of fun, but after we really enjoyed the name PewDiePie gave to the elephant plush, and we actually have named it that in the game, or in the game engine as well. So his name is officially Gandalf.
He has a name tag too, doesn't he?
I think he might have.
Yeah. He has a name tag on the back leg, and because he fell through the floor or something. So PewDiePie was like, "No, Gandalf, no." So we I think the first thing the day after PewDiePie played through the alpha of this was kind of the first issue we had to take, like, why did Gandalf fall to the floor? So already there you kind of, oh, this is beautiful.
I enjoy the pink elephant in level 1. In the start it was, I made this ugly dinosaur that people thought was an elephant, and they said in game, find the pink elephant, and it was not an elephant. So I figured, hey, I'll have to make an elephant, and I made the most glorious elephant you've ever seen. So that's my favorite prop in Among the Sleep.
There's always been some discussions inside the crib about, like, how far can you go with the child's imagination as to what is assumed to be fantasy and what's real. And for example, the train's particles, that was maybe not the biggest discussion, but it's still something that is up for discussion, because it's, the train doesn't really make smoke, I guess. It just fits into the theme.
Yeah, it works well how kids see the world. Right here we name drop a bit of the ending. Like, if you guys watching this, there's definitely be spoilers. So the first spoiler here is like the Teddy, the rhyme, which is a really cool rhyme we made. I think Anders wrote it mainly. Was that it kind of teases the fact about drinking, with the animals being thirsty, and it will you will have a lot of things related to alcoholism throughout the game, and this was like one of the earlier hits.
The pillows, I don't know if anybody has tried them, but they have some really cool physics, and I guess that's one of the oldest, like, scripts or implementation of anything in the game, almost. And it's not been altered that much since we created it like 3 years ago.
So we wanted the whole tutorial to be the player just playing like a kid would play with his teddy bear, and it would come alive and just kind of guide you around the room and have you interact with things in order to learn the mechanics in a kind of slow pace, as well as some hinting to the story.
Which things in game right now are you proud of?
I just want to say, as a whole, are at least, like, maybe the characters, Teddy especially. The first time you unlock that chest and you meet the character and Roger Jackson's voice starts talking, and you feel like you're in this living world. And I think that might be one of my favorite moments of the game currently.
Also, one of the most important aspects of the whole intro sequence is introducing all the memories that you will collect during the whole game. So by the time you end the tutorial, we've introduced the necklace for the mother, you have the book, you have the playing thing, what's it called?
Music box.
Yeah. So all the memories that are like the sub-goals for each chapter in the game is also introduced in this area.
Hey, you found me. My name is Teddy. Nice to meet you. Hey, what's your name? Not much of a talker yet, eh? Let's play a game. I know. I'll hide the pink elephant while you're not looking. Come here. Turn around and cover your eyes. There. You can look now. Colder. Still cold. Warmer. Colder. Warmer. Super warm.
This is really crucial what you says here, because your mother will berate you kind of playfully, saying like, "Why are you always hiding from mommy?" That's a little hint that you know that something is wrong with her, but it's said playfully, so yeah. So we kind of wanted it to, once you play it again, maybe you'll see this as like a more serious thing than it is. But it's so important because for the ending to showcase that the mother actually is, you know, very loving. So we still needed to make her a very important and warm figure.
And the main thing we wanted to do in this the first level here was to make the player feel something for the mother, because the mother, she is the main objective of the game. You want to get back to her, and that won't have any weight behind it at all if the player doesn't have any kind of relationship to her. So that was pretty hard to do, and we still could have gone a little further, I think. But at least now, after this sequence, the player will recognize the mother when he sees her, and you will know it's your mother, and that at least. But most people have good relationships to their mothers,
Yeah.
so.
Still cold. Cold. Colder. Still cold. Warmer. Super warm. You found it. Wow. Is that a music box? Does it work? That's a nice melody. Try hitting those pins with the bowling ball. What's this? Five thirsty animals upon a dry, dry hill. We could use a drink, they sang, and started to drill. Unless we reach water with our newly dug well, I think we'll have to bid each other fare thee well. Oh! Does it run? How do you start it? Round and round and round. Hey, pick me up and carry me on your back. I want to show you something. We need someplace very dark. How about your closet? It has to be darker. Shut the doors completely. It has to be darker. Shut the doors completely. Good. This will do nicely.
Oh no, we are in
Monsters here.
a cool place. This is the first scary bit properly, like
If
where you're
you
left
ever
alone.
feel scared in a
This
dark
reminds
place
us of a
like this,
later level
you
too.
can hug me
But I really
tight.
liked this place because it was
You
just
might
like a
feel
little
bit
build up.
safer.
Very short, very concise. But you also tease that you also start teasing the player a bit with their scary things there.
Yeah. It was also added at a very late stage in the design process
Yeah.
to kind of set the tone, as the intro is very pleasant and it's very positive and optimistic. This is kind of a reminder that you're playing a creepy game.
And technically, it was interesting because you teleport the player to the other end of the hallway as soon as you close the door. So you actually teleport the player, and that was, I think we spent a little bit of interactions doing that before it sort of became not transparent that you were being teleported. But I think it works really well because then you end up where you started and you go to the door that you closed, and what do you see there?
I don't think we're supposed to be here. We must be careful. I don't like this.
Teddy also is interesting as he is your friend, and of course and he walks around when it's safe, but when it's not he's on your back and you can use him as an ability. It was sort of our version of, like, we didn't want to have a flashlight because it's kind of cheesy, but in this way it's sort of a metaphorical flashlight. It gives you comfort and sort of makes things feel different and a bit safer. But also he's like this, he has a restriction because you won't be able to walk as fast or crawl or climb with him. So if you see a monster, it could suddenly be a limitation to have Teddy out. I think that was a good design choice we actually made with having Teddy like this, because it frees you up but it limits you at the same way, so it changes the rules of the game a bit.
Did you hear that? I think something's coming.
this is really crucial what she says here, because your mother will berate you kind of playfully, saying like, "Why are you always hiding from mommy?" That's a little hint that you know that something is wrong with her, but it's said playfully. So yeah, so we kind of wanted to. Once you play it again, maybe you'll see this as like a more serious thing than it is. But it's so important because for the ending to showcase that the mother actually is, you know, very loving. So we still needed to make her a very important and warm figure.
And the main thing we wanted to do in this, the first level here, was to make the player feel something for the mother, because the mother, she is the main objective of the game. You want to get back to her, and that won't have any weight behind it at all if the player doesn't have any kind of relationship to her. So that was pretty hard to do, and we still could have gone a little further, I think. But at least now, after this sequence, the player will recognize the mother when he sees her, and you will know it's your mother, and that at least, well, most people have good relationships to their mothers,
Yeah.
so.
There you are. What are you doing in the closet? Oh, are you playing with your new friend? Hello, Mr. Bear. Nice to meet you. How are you today? You've got to stop hiding from Mommy. I hope you had a good birthday, hon. Mommy would be very sad if you didn't. And now it's time for bed. If you go to sleep now, you can wake up early tomorrow and play with your friend all day. Every little boy and girl are sleeping now, all over the world. And they're waiting just for you. We shouldn't keep them. Good night, hon. Sweet dreams.
if you look in the hallway when you go into the hallway, I love the lighting here. How it sort of frames it really well. Like the lighting is so good at times that it hides a lot of things around it, and what it shows, like it sets the mood really well. I remember we were at GTC showing it, and I think there were some people coming from a couple of big studios to study how the lighting actually was in the game. Do you guys remember who? There was someone.
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
A lady
yeah.
from DreamWorks.
That's so cool. Like they came out to check out how the lighting worked in our game, and they were interested, and they were like, yeah. And you can clearly see it some places. That's like the first hallway for me always does it when the light goes off after you've been thrown out.
And in this hallway, there are also objects that are placed there for with the purpose of telling the story, for narrative purposes, and that is the boxes with the cardboard boxes, to make it look like they are moving out, or if they have just moved into the house.
Here you also start hearing like the first kind of scary sound of the level, which is the dishwasher. Washing machine that would later turn out. And a lot of the sounds that are in here are sort of meant to simulate a bit like recognizable, but also a bit airy. So you want to really place them hopefully until you can see them. That was a lot of the approach for the audio, at least for the ambience.
In this hallway you meet the first challenge of the game. At least the first challenge we designed, I guess. Just a simple explanation of what kind of physical challenges the child could go through. That an adult person in a game doesn't have to go through. Where a door is just something you just pass through as an adult, you as a child actually have a physical challenge there, and might have to stand on top of something and drag that over to the door before you're able to go for any further. And this is used later in the game as well to build upon the stress moment of having something chasing you, and just a physical block that stops you from getting away.
Thank you. Something's not right. We need to find your mother.
A little fun trivia is that the Teddy being put in the washing machine is had I guess a deeper purpose in an earlier iteration of the game, where like we touched upon earlier barely, where Teddy was antagonist of the game, of the story, and so we wanted the player to see Teddy being carried out of the room by something seemingly invisible, and then being put. If Teddy was put in the washing machine and something horrible happens to him, then the player would. We hope that the player would not suspect Teddy.
I must just say I love the sound of the gate here. It sounds almost like a lion or a tiger or something like that. It's perfect as it just emphasizes the way when scared you can put character into small things like a door creak.
Shh. We have to be very quiet. We can't let it find us.
I remember I did, that was early on in development, I did an event when you got downstairs in the house, and earlier we had a door that you got framed really well as you walked down the stairs, and that door was just a plain old wooden door before, and I added like frosty glass on the door and a small shadow behind the creature that is in the house. I added that one behind in a small movement. And first time I tested that event on somebody, and it worked as well as I could have ever imagined. That was a perfect moment for me. Sadly, the entire level got redesigned, and the event had to go, but it was a great moment, and I learned a lot about subtlety and horror, I think.
So yeah, the first hallway downstairs. Downstairs we're going to rev it up a bit with more intensive sounds. You see like a chair being turned over. It's like really crazy shit. And there's even a clock that's ticking sometimes.
It's her.
Start hearing
Hey!
the Grantham
Hello?
clock. I love that sound actually.
But the topple chair and everything, it does play a part in building the suspense towards when you reach the room, because upon entering there's I guess a very subtle type of scare. You have the like there's a flash of lightning and you hear thunder, and that is something we noticed early that people did actually just jump a bit from. So it's something that it works well because there are other things that it builds up towards something, and there are other things that takes your attention away. And then as you enter the room, you have the light flash. And it's one of my favorite events in the whole game.
It's good. It's subtle. It's a small jump scare, but it works.
It was a really good sign for us developing that people would get scared at something as small as that, because it just means that they're on edge with the setting and all that. We have done that part correctly, which I guess is more than half of making the game scary.
The piano. Since the kid, of course, can't play a piano properly, we spent hours and days making sure that when you click on the piano, it will be as accurate a representation of a kid playing piano as we possibly could. So we have like a fantastic record every time we play the piano, I think.
Also, this event with the apples, I'm also really fond of. Just the hearing sound and seeing something physical and moving just makes the physical presence of whatever dangerous thing is in the house just feel a lot more real and a lot scarier. But I am also very sad because something happened to the, I don't know what, but the apples and how they roll. They don't. I spent too much time tweaking that. That was one of the first events I think I was tweaking. I was like, yeah, look at this. How they're rolling is perfect, and then something messed up the value, and they don't. Yeah, it's sad.
It completely ruins the game, like
Yes.
all those apples roll.
In general, this is how we feel when we play this game, because we spent 3 years playing this game, and every day we're like, so what is bad? What do we have to make better? Like what is not good enough? So our mind is still, I think, even like half a year after finishing this game, at this point where we're sort of, I remember this, I should have made it better. And I think we are very easy to see all the flaws of this game, whereas you guys are lucky because you actually get to play it in max. We're all sitting here like, I'm not looking forward to that point because I'm gonna have to defend how bad those apples rolled, or
Yeah.
Oh, this was if you go through the hair, I remember you and me, we put it up as a sort of tech demo of, ghostly presence. But I think that worked really well. Like it's just basically a force pushing the plate and it falls in front of you. It's a little jump scare again. And I think the same happens if you go over to the radiator. That's probably the most fun I ever had with this game, was just seeing like, oh look, there's a bear, and it's like suddenly like psh, and a lot of people flinch really bad at that.
Ikke frokost. An internal joke. Our animator Espen brought lunch one day and he accidentally picked the wrong container which wasn't his breakfast but just cheese from last night's taco. And I think Svein, directly jumped into 3DS Max and modeled this container. So that's the only thing this family has: cheese.
It also works really well with establishing the mother as a bad provider. The child needs more than cheese. I think also this was what people saw in the trailer, the teaser, the first thing that got really famous. So I think in many ways, for a lot of people, this was the game for 2 years until they started playing it. And that was also interesting when we worked with the game, to know that this is the expectations. Like this is defined as what people know the game is. So I think we always kind of try to figure out how can we work on the game. What is the game, and what will people expect? How can we work with that? That was definitely an interesting thing about working with putting sounds in and probably designing and everything. Is we had this sort of thing as the not status quo, but as a defining level. There's a lot of subtle sound happening in this hallway. There's something behind you, there's something in that creak. I think there's air ventilation going, and it sort of all builds up to the next lightning, which comes behind a few corners.
the reason for this room being so dark is that we wanted to include some rooms where the player would have to use the teddy light mechanic in order to see, because the teddy light is a really good ability in terms of what it means to just that Teddy is the child's best friend and it makes him feel a bit safer. So we made sure to introduce a couple areas in the game that are so dark that you would have to use the Teddy light. And of course it's also scary, so. So you peek through the door and you see the duvet or the covers moving, and with this we just wanted the players to think that the mother was is lying in the bed, so that when you get over there to and you climb the bed and you pull the covers away, you see that she's not here. And then this is also Teddy's reaction, going, what? She's not here? And then you have a scary event where you can see the door handle being jerked, and it looks like as if someone's trying to get into the room, which is just a representation of the child's distress of being alone and just not knowing where the mother is.
So there's this room right here, the mother's bedroom. It used to be pretty different in terms of what happens when you enter it. And we, through many iterations, it kind of got watered down a bit and ended up being not as effective as it could have been, or that it was earlier in the process. But Of course, the earlier version had problems as well, as we couldn't keep it the way it was, but it went a bit far in the other direction. So it used to be that when you enter this room, door would slam shut behind you, and you would have to hide under the bed because something was trying to get into the room. And when you tried to go back the way you came through the door, you would open the door and it would be blocked by this brick wall that was suddenly there. And just that moment when players realized that they're blocked in and this is something that they didn't expect at all, that moment was something that was very effective when it worked, and it's something I would have loved to see more of throughout the game. But yeah, as mentioned, then it had a lot of other problems, so we had to change it, and in the process we lost a really cool part. But now everyone who plays through it gets it right. In a way, it's better designed now, I think. But
And a lot of them crawl under the bed. I like that.
yeah, people instinctively crawl under the bed in that room. So we kept an important part of the room. Yeah, I think that's also one of the places that's most effective in terms of getting the player to feel that she's a child.
She's not here.
Yeah, having the player backtrack is always an issue, as you have to make the player understand that he's supposed to go back the way he came, so you need this kind of carrot in the end of it. So here we have the player following his mother's voice that you can hear in the distance.
So people were really struggling before we implemented the mother's hum in which you follow, but we also added, we just put tons of boxes in blocking the other way so that you can't just go in a circle loop back into the mother's bedroom. Yes, and also we added the markings on the floor which guides you towards the kitchen.
You also had a very distinct sound of the grandfather clock from the living room leading you back.
Yes, but I also think this is the reason. The backtracking is also the reason why the jump scare in the living room is so effective, because people have already been there, so it's not like they're exploring something they don't know. They know this, and they see the apples and they can think, oh yeah, that's the apples that fell down on the floor, and then suddenly you have you just see the monster flashing in the jump scare real quickly. And that's probably the thing we see people like. That's the biggest jump scare in the game, and it's super effective because of the backtracking as well.
There's a lot of subtle sound happening in this hallway. There's something behind you. There's something in that, like a creak. I think there's air ventilation going, and sort of all builds up to the next lightning, which comes behind a few corners. love her song too. This is Trollmor Spukevise, which is a Swedish song, but basically it's all Scandinavian. Everyone in Scandinavia has heard this at some point of their childhood, so this is sort of, I guess, one of our things to kind of keep it a bit localized and representative of our culture. I think a lot of the design of the house is also sort of like
Maybe it's
kind
more
of
like
inspiration by
a
how
memory of
kind of
her?
we saw things when we were kids. So there's no cell phones, you know. It's quite timeless, the design. It's nothing pointing. There's not too much pointing to a specific era. And you see the mother. This is really beautiful. Like, I think we got this in 2 weeks before release, and it really made like, first it used to just be the memory things that your mother would, you know, had to be introduced to in level 0, but this, like, the posture really made with her sitting there, and you got reminded of her so well too, I think.
Yeah, the imagination objects that you pick up, the ones that were presented in the first level, they used to just float here alone and with no connection to anything. But as soon as we added the mother post there, it really connected it a lot more to the story, and the player understood that these objects are important in some way.